Bear with us. Calling to order the Agricultural Committee for the Clear Creek Community Services District. Today is March 13th, 2025, and it is 6:01 p.m. You all please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We'll do a quick roll call. Scott McVeigh.
Logan Johnston.
Dennis, Hussein, thank you.
Robert Wharton.
And
Gentleman, Paul.
very good. Now, because this is an actual standing committee in a public entity, we annually change out or decide on who's going to be chair. And I'm going to nominate my friend here as chair. Any objections? No, you're chair.
We don't have placards for that. I was gonna say.
Now, we take
Okay.
them off for the committees.
All right, well, get my email real quick and then we'll get right into it.
Yeah, I gotta put the Ag Committee in.
Make it legible.
Thank you for the patience. Apologies. Welcome to what is the first Ag Committee meeting for 2025. First of, we believe, 3, 4, depending on how the year goes. Primarily, we are here to discuss the 2025 Farmers Market Series, when we're going to start, details, and everything in between. So, with that, we'll go ahead and open with the agenda.
You want to turn the time over to me, say so.
I'll go ahead and turn the time over to you. How's that?
Just for formality purposes, is there anyone wishing to address
Yes.
the committee on something that's not on the agenda? Seeing none, okay, that's fine.
Okay.
Now
Sorry.
we can go to that item.
That's
I didn't think it would be.
That's why everybody's here for that, so he gets practice. Okay, so I'll cover the farmer's market aspect. It's gonna be, a lot of the forms are gonna be the same as last year. I've got the samples up here. Basically, the guidelines for the volunteers, sign-up sheets, so you sign up and you kind of oversee the market. The actual sign-up for the vendors, farmer's market rules, and we have a flyer from last year that will be black and white. Because the color was very expensive last year and the district ate it.
They're so appealing though.
Yeah,
We're gonna do it.
and this will go out in the, with the
That's
bill
all party gift.
either probably next month, I'm thinking. So we're gonna have to make some decisions tonight. Logan and I, being on the board of directors, we're actually here just to facilitate, help get the farmer's market started. We're not actually supposed to be running it as directors. I know we kind of did last year along with Dennis and Robert, and, you know, I was fine with that. But we need community involvement too. And if you agree to be one of the volunteers run, you can still sell things. You know, you just show up a little bit early, and you always do. You know, like each of those times.
For you.
A few times, yes. So you would just show up early like that, and greet people, get them signed in for the day. If they're new, the waiver form, the hold harmless that we had last year, that'll be the same. You know, I'll help facilitate getting the porta potty there. I'll put it on my credit card, you know, so it gets paid in its regular time frame. But I really don't want to spend every hour Saturday or first, second, fourth Saturdays all summer long. You know, I started last year. It was a good thing. Even though we had volunteers, I was there every Saturday. So I'm looking to step back a little bit, you know. But we want to have the same basic format. This is a community event. We're not there to make money, you know. So having a few people from the community to be there will be very helpful. Did you ever comment?
No, well, just clarifying comment, the district is not there to make money. We are hoping very much so that you all.
Well, yeah.
Of course.
Well, people running it, we want to cover the costs. As an example, the porta potty that we have to have there is, last year was $55 a month. They didn't share with me, they charged me $55 to deliver it and $55 to pick it up. So the cost this year are gonna run approximately $600 for the market, all in. And if we, depending on when we start, and we have tentatively set early May, but you guys get to have your input in it, we would have 12 farmers markets over the course of that time, from May through October like we did last year. And you're looking at probably, if we had the average of 6 on every market, then it would be $8 a piece. And the volunteers would be having the people sign in, making sure they had their whole harmless filled out, collect the fee, and then basically I will go ahead and hold everything we need. The sewing signs that were right at the street and down at the corner, the table and whatnot, and the information for you, the clipboards, pens, the works. And it's a matter of, you got 7 people signed up, I should have $56 in the envelope when you return it back to me. You know, and we'll do an accounting at the end. Every sign-up sheet will be dated, how many people showed up, and, you know, verifying that the funds are all correct and whatnot. Okay, so, interest by members of the community to help out, since it is really your farmer's market.
I would be willing to,
Okay, it's not gonna be burdensome. If
Yeah.
you guys are around, you saw what I did most of the
yeah,
time.
it's basically just.
You know,
check-
it's a
check
couple of
balance,
minutes of
make
getting
sure
people to
everybody's
sign
signed up.
in and whatnot. Then I just roam around and chat with you guys.
Mhm.
Now, if you're there to sell, you chat anyway, but just from your booth.
Right, right.
Okay, so it's not that big a deal, right? Okay, very good.
Robert, there's a,
You have a question, Robert?
We may be able to find volunteers in the community that don't run. There's a lot of people that have time to do this type of volunteer work. And we're looking for help, but we don't want to overburden people like you. If you hadn't showed up, I was gonna snivel on the phone or on Facebook. Maybe a picket sign around your house. Cause you and the honey man and a couple, 3 other people were key players. People came to buy your bread and then buy other stuff. People came to buy the honey guy did really well.
The jam.
Yeah, so, and
Yeah.
we're looking for people like that, and without those people, we're not gonna be, we were a success for a first time out, not knowing what we're doing. And this time, we hope maybe have a maximum of 12 vendors, and there were suggestions, you may have some too, that would benefit Randy, who is in the bee business, and he said, put the vendors out a little bit closer to the roadway, have the parking in the back, and that way people can see it easier, and he thinks it's a better presentation.
Yeah, because otherwise you pass by and you're
And he
seeing
may
them
be
over
Unless
there.
I stand out at the street and wave in.
So we're gonna look at that, and there's other things we're gonna look at too.
Oh, I did. If it was slow, I was on the street.
He was out. I was working.
My bottom line point is, we can't afford to burden you. If you can't be the volunteer, please just show up and sign your bread. You know, that's where we're at.
What I'm looking for is if we run with the second week of May through the last Saturday in October, that's 12. 6 volunteers, you do it twice, you're done. I think that's reasonable. And I will take 2 of them, okay?
likewise.
So there's 4, so you only need 4 more people to cover.
I'm gonna do 2.
Well,
Hopefully this year I'll have
let's
something
give them
to
a
sell.
chance too. Okay, so that's kind of where we are. So are you willing to cover 2?
Possibly.
Possibly, okay, good.
It's a possibility.
And, you know, on your first one, I'll show up, walk you through it, make sure you're comfortable, you know where everything is. Everything is stored at my house, which is a couple 100 yards from the lot. So if you don't have a way to transport it there because the sign's in your car with your stuff, I'll drive it down if I'm home. If I'm out of town, I'll need a backup with a truck.
Yes. Very doable.
Okay? Yes, sir.
I think it's great, you've pretty much already almost filled your volunteer group,
I
which
know.
is good. want to start in May?
I'm getting there.
Okay.
I didn't plan on that. So when do you want to start?
When did we start last year?
We started the last Saturday of June,
Which was a little late.
it was, I think, the 26th. Was our first day.
But that was strictly because of scheduling and planning.
Yeah, it was getting
And we were behind the ball.
organized, finding a spot.
This organizational meeting didn't happen until May.
That's right, yeah. So that's when we started. So I don't know when you guys would have product. Produce was gonna come in June and July. If you're growing it, just, that's
This,
growing
the
season.
second Saturday of May is the day before Mother's Day,
Okay,
which may be a good time,
maybe.
maybe a bad.
Depends on how many vendors
Yeah.
show up, you know.
Well, people might wanna buy
obviously with
breads,
honey, with
eggs,
bread,
gifts, you know.
And they don't have to go all the way to Reading to do
Right.
it, they can just,
Right.
it's a little farmer's
Get
market.
some people that wanna sell flowers that Saturday.
There you go,
Yeah.
Mhm.
quite
And
possible.
they need flowers and they
Okay,
need bread.
except there are certain rules. Remember, you have to grow it, produce it, or make it, and be a resident. So if you go down and buy flowers cheap and want to sell them, that's kind of undercutting the whole
You
purpose
gotta,
of the
yeah, you
market.
gotta grow.
You gotta grow, exactly. So they may not be quite ready. Some of mine are. I've got stuff blossoming all over the place, but I've got a lot of stuff that comes in later. So you can speak up. We want your opinion. You're welcome. Early May?
I think that would work, yes. So I think when we started in June, we were running pretty hot in the morning already.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was. And when we ran into late October, it
Where we
was
were
all but
running
dark.
very
And we had a little bit of rain, but not bad. So the next point would then be what time do we start?
So I made a post on Facebook, kind of did a poll to see what people really wanted to see, advertising, hours of operation, vendors. They want more hours. Most people wouldn't really show up until 9 o'clock. So we would kind of just be sitting there for about an hour waiting for people, and we get the feel maybe at 8:30, but I feel like 9 o'clock was really the good start time.
You want to start more at 9 then?
I would say a little bit closer, like say we come maybe at 8 o'clock to start setting up, and by 8:30-ish, maybe closer to 9, we're ready to
All right.
go.
Do you remember last year how it seemed to change? When it was hot, we tended to get people earlier, and then later in the year, they came later.
Unless we adjust for the weather.
Well,
We can do it in, starting May.
Which July and August we might need to, because
Yeah,
it's
so we
gonna
can
be
maybe start,
110 and.
yeah.
and-
that was the thought why we didn't go to 12.
Yeah.
Later, you guys, if it stayed busy, we just stayed.
Yeah.
You know?
And we can do that, we can maybe adjust our hours, and,
Yeah.
we wanna say till 12, but we would always get the last minute people that would show up right at 11, and then we would still end up staying till about 12 anyways.
Yeah, exactly.
And then for advertising, surprised a lot of people still didn't know we were still in the farmer's market last week, they
Right.
hadn't heard of it, so I did a lot of advertising for my business page, I had it running an ad through Anderson.
And we now have the Facebook page, Happy Valley Farmers Market.
Mhm.
Awesome.
Yeah,
So
so I think it'll be,
that'll help.
put the ad.
It'll be
in
on the
Anderson.
school marquee when they're coming, and then obviously the sandwich sign that I put out at the cross street,
Yeah.
Mhm.
which helps a little bit.
I came across a post from somebody who's down in the Pinion area, and they were wondering if they still had the farmer's market at the grocery outlet. And it's like, no, they don't, but we've got one up here.
Yeah.
We're gonna be starting second
Yeah.
year, so.
It's gonna be important to get enough vendors out early so that the people who show up for the first time don't go, well, there's only 3 people here.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
So I guess
I
that,
sent in return.
that would be a question, in other words, if you started on May 10th, let's say, are you sure we will get 6, 8 vendors right away?
I do have another vendor that's interested, are you familiar with Brunique here in Happy Valley, the coffee lady? She's been posting up on, Happy Valley Road.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that person.
Yeah.
that's
So
good.
I know Bonnie's didn't want any food trucks, she doesn't sell any food, she just does coffee, and I think that would do really good if we had a coffee lady there.
I think we can make that work.
And she's interested,
That's my biggest concern, is just.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to offend Bonnie's Burgers, we use the
Yeah.
lot free.
Yeah.
Well, does Bonnie's offer coffee
Has
though?
some drinks.
If
So-
you do, it's very, very basic coffee. o'clock. We just like, she does frappuccino, she does the whole specialty.
Right, so it
coffee.
wouldn't be like an
She would-
infringement on
Mhm.
But
product
she
at that
doesn't have
point.
biscuits or croissants, just the
No.
coffee.
Just
Yeah.
Yes, but, and I don't think Bonnie's will find out, I don't think, I talked to her yesterday, just because I was having something to eat, about, did you enjoy it? They liked the market being there, didn't ask anything more, her husband was there, he liked it, said we had positive feedback from it. But you think 8:30 is a better time, or 9 o'clock?
I think we would just have to really adjust depending on the weather, because sometimes it was really warm already, or we were freezing.
But that causes a problem. If we
Yeah.
advertise a time
I
and then we
know.
randomly change it,
Yeah.
we're
maybe
confusing
we
our
just
potential customers.
Maybe we just start at the same time as usual, but later time, maybe that can, if we're dead by 11, then we just have to leave, but if we saw people showing up, then we just stay.
Okay, so how do you feel?
Like 8 o'clock to 11 plus?
Yeah, 11
So,
o'clock.
8 o'clock to 11.
So we did 8 to 11 last year and loosely allowed us to stay. But the vendors have to know they have to stay from the 8 to
Yeah.
11.
Right,
Because it's not fair if you sell out and disappear, leaving 2 or 3 there. Okay.
yeah, yeah. No.
Do we wanna make an amendment to the flyer of something along the lines of at or later as needed, or something to do with
I
that,
don't
just to
know if
acknowledge?
I want to do that. Because if we are all gone and by
Yeah.
11:10 and they show up,
No, no,
they'll go, whoops, I
yeah,
thought they said later.
And then I would also be actively posting, I think posting
Right,
updates
that works.
throughout the day, how
Right.
it's going, like, okay, last minute call,
Yeah, last call, guys.
Yeah,
You
last-
got 15 minutes
You
to
got
get
15,
here.
30 minutes, and then we're out of here.
Yeah.
But if we can get Brunique there, I think that would be a really, really good thing.
So what's her name?
Her name's Maria, her business is Brunique.
Is she still setting up,
She has it for a little bit, I
Is
think,
that the trailer?
she has this trailer,
Just
or
park
she
at the old store.
Or she can set up
Yeah.
a table, and she can actually have her own drinks there.
Well, how do you feel about her bringing her trailer in and setting it up?
I think that would be fine.
having been in the coffee business, she'd be more comfortable with her.
I understand that, but
Yeah.
you're the other vendors that are there,
I
I wanna
think
make
it
sure
would be
that you guys are okay with it.
Yeah.
Because someone's gonna wanna show up, they're gonna get their coffee, they're gonna wanna walk, and you're kinda, it's,
Does she runs a generator?
she does have a generator,
So
it's
if
not
you're-
crazy loud, but, cause I know
Yeah, we
that
gotta
noise.
wanna be careful
So,
of that too.
Unless we put like her off to the side like this, and the vendor, so we can have her coffee and vendors like this.
Well,
Okay.
I mean, theoretically, you could put her up towards the street and that could be the draw. Somebody's like, oh, I'm gonna grab
Yeah.
coffee. They
And
pull
then
in, they're like,
everybody-
oh, farmer's
Well,
market.
that's the next,
Yeah.
that's the next discussion. How do we lay it out? Because we left the driveway and with Bonnie's Burgers on the side, and we set back up on the field. If she's gonna be near the street, do you guys wanna be up near the street? And we still have to have room for people to drive back in and park, where it's safe for anybody with children and whatnot.
One of the advantages of being on the grassy areas is a little cooler when the weather
Yeah,
gets
I
hot.
And
agree.
we did have the trees too, that would
And if
cover.
you
Right.
get along that whole side there,
Yeah,
that east side, you
yeah.
get some.
Get some shade, not much relief in the
Right.
middle of the day, but it keeps the dust down from the products and
That's true, 'cause that would get those
everything
below
that we
the
have,
house.
yeah.
So how do you feel about it? Do you wanna run that whole side and bring some out onto the grass? Because we could put her with her trailer up near the street on the east side of that lot. And, we still have to make it safe for everybody.
And we have to allow for our parking as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct,
If we would for.
without interfering with Bonnie's.
Right,
Mm-hmm.
right.
Okay, so what do we think? That includes you guys, you can chime up a little bit.
Is, your suggestion is 8:30 to 11 plus?
8 to 11 so far.
8 to 11.
Cause that looks good on the flyer, 8:30 to 11, and then the plus sign. And if they're not gonna get there, if it's slow at 11, the party's over. But sometimes it hangs on to like 30 minutes or 45 minutes more, cause there's a bunch of people there. But if it, so I think that, if that's what your suggestion is, a pretty good suggestion. And you have a pretty good relationship with Bonnie, don't you?
Yes,
It's
very
not-
good.
That's not her real name, it used to be somebody's name, so I heard.
I checked with him right after the last one, and he said, we'd love to have you back, so. And
And I
it's
think-
locked in right away.
I don't think they'll mind the coffee coffee thing, they do sell some coffee when we're there, but not very much. They're looking to sell breakfasts and that type of
If
stuff.
there's an issue, we'll deal with it.
Mhm.
Okay, but now, as far as placement of the booths, if we stick with that whole east side, because of the shade aspect, and we put the coffee near the street, like you guys indicated, maybe that attracts people a little quicker. She would wanna be off of the edge a little bit, so it's easier to see.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then fill up that side with, the booth, and then some on the, grass then,
Mhm.
as needed, leaving, we almost have to mark off parking to the west a little bit,
Right.
okay?
yeah.
There's a safety concern for parking cars coming on. People bring their kids, they're like little motorized devices. They take off real quick.
Yeah.
So we wanna be sure how we set it up would provide the maximum safety for people
Sure.
and their kids.
Sure.
That's
We're
why
looking
I
at this
didn't
to
want
the
you
extent we
guys,
can.
you know, I didn't want people driving back there once we open. You can drive
I
back
think
and
we
set up
just
as a
keep
group.
it on the grass
No,
and
we're-
use just
we're
kind of
keeping
Greek
it-
as a little bit of an advertisement thing, because she's,
That's a good
a
one.
lot of people, she's well known now.
Yeah,
So like, they would see her, they would pull in, hey, let's stop and get coffee, and then they would just see.
and
Yeah, I think
wander
that
around,
would, yeah,
sure.
I think that would be.
But we still may wanna put some vendors across. We lost the freeze-dried candy because it was too hot,
Yes.
okay?
I
And they
kinda
didn't come
reached out
back in
back
the
to
fall,
her and
unfortunately.
Yeah.
What, we could do possibly would be, the vendors could park in the back, but the public would still park in the
I was
back.
thinking along the
That's a
same lines
possibility.
is like have the vendors pull in and then they set up out of the back of their vehicles and then their vehicles are just basically parked behind their booths. So then
We
they're
did that
parked on the
last
grass.
day.
And then bring them,
Or even have us
bring the
park
vendors
further.
forward a
Yeah.
little, somewhat.
Well, we'll
Is there-
keep it on the field though.
Is there a draw effect to having the vendors park in the actual parking area? Because there's sometimes where the only cars in the parking lot
Are the
that are
vendors.
gonna draw attention are the vendors
Right,
parked on the east side there.
and maybe that's what we do, is park it over on the east side for the vendors. That's a possibility. Or even along the road, as long as there's still a driveway going back in, so that they see the coffee, the number of vehicles parked, you know. These are suggestions, how do you guys
Yeah,
feel?
that could draw attention to what's going on in the lot.
Yeah, there's never cars parked there up front,
No.
No.
even if Bonnie's is open.
I
The
know.
only day that happens is if there's a baseball game or something.
I
Does
know.
the coffee lady have any of these little flag type things?
No, she has, from what I see, she has a little board sign that she puts out in the street,
Okay.
but using one of those things.
Well, you either buy it or you rent it, and they're not cheap. Is that $12 a day? See what I'm saying? I was thinking those, you know, PVC poles and you
That
get
have the
flag,
flags on
like
it,
that,
Yeah,
wait a
yeah.
little bit.
I know the honey that had it too, he would always put it up.
Yes,
Mhm.
something like that, right near the street, a little more attention grabbing.
Cause I would even put my sign out there too, just.
Well,
Out there,
it's a
yeah.
possibility,
Yeah.
sure.
It wouldn't be difficult to make, so.
We could just allow every vendor to make their own
Stick it-
sign
yes,
and just
or-
have a
or
message.
Stick it in the bucket.
Message signs out there.
It's a possibility.
I mean, you could start them at the corner, at the intersection and just have them stacked, going
Yeah.
right down to Bonnie's.
Yeah, we see, we had that signage
Mhm.
sign that Robert had made up that I put out there every time, right there at the intersection. I think it helps some,
Oh, yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So if there was a few other things, or maybe those wavy things there, you know,
What was the fee we're gonna charge the vendors when they show up each time?
$7 or $8, depending on how the costs come out.
Sure. You sell, you sell in other farmers markets, just here and then your route and other stuff. Do you sell in other farmers market?
No,
I
just
know
here
Reading
online.
is a gouger, it's like $35.
And they're expensive, they want you to be there every weekend and you have to commit to it too.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
That's not what.
Isn't there an application
Lots
fee
of
too?
rules.
I want to say there was an application fee, because they did try to get me to do it, but after I read it, I was like, I can't.
Yeah, you
Every
have,
single
I'm gonna make $1 per loaf.
Yeah,
If I sell out.
they have certain requirements. I had a neighbor who was a farmer and he
Yeah.
looked into doing it and he said it was just too political.
And that's what we
Too
want to
many,
avoid.
too many requirements.
Yeah.
Have you checked at other places too, you know, what, like, where they have a farmer's market out in Palisades, I think?
Yes, they do.
And they have another one or two in Reading, maybe one's associated with the big one at behind City Hall, and the other one may not be, it's on Churn Creek, where the.
It's all the
evening
same
market.
farmer's market,
It's
it's
all
just
same
different
Night
days.
market.
Yeah, so there's,
Yeah.
well, the Friday night market's set up through something else, but there's the Tuesday one on Churn Creek by Dairy Queen.
Yes.
That's the Reading Farmers Market, and then there's a Sunday evening. There's a Sunday one at Turtle Bay over by the Sundial Bridge, which is also through
Is
the
there any
farmers
that's
market.
not part of that group, that's the big City Hall group?
Outside of the Friday night market, which isn't a food vendor situation per se, it's just vendors, so it's all sorts of stuff.
And there's one in Anderson at the factory outlet sometimes.
There used to be. I don't go down.
I've not seen the
often. I
banner
haven't
there in a
seen
couple
it for
years.
while, But I know there's one also over at the Grange, by Kent's Market, but
Okay,
I
there is.
haven't been there.
I'll check and see what those people charge, because we don't wanna charge too much, because you have expenses already. And
We're gonna charge only what it costs us.
Yeah.
Period.
We're just trying to
No
boost up the
profit for anybody
neighborhood,
other than
basically.
yourself.
I guess that's
I
it.
just wanna break even. That's the goal. So, one other thing I wanna bring up, would be, there had been some interest in doing it at nighttime, on a Thursday night or some other night. I just wanna see if you guys have any interest in that instead of a Saturday. If you're happy with Saturdays, we stay with that.
I wouldn't mind. I have ducks and chickens that I have to put to bed, so I mean, that ties my early morning and late night, it's dusk to dawn to dusk. So that's my commitment there.
Sure.
So that's what kind of governs what I can do.
Okay. And see, you guys get to make most of the decisions.
I
You
know.
came here. So this is how it's gonna be. But we're gonna be flexible too, because we wanna be common sense and what works best for the community, so. Any, yeah, go ahead.
Yes, so last year we also had it where it was strictly gonna be people in Happy Valley doing it, and then there was
Local.
like I think it was like that flower lady that showed up that was friend of the other
Yeah.
lady. So I know we had a discussion there of,
And
do we let other vendors outside of Happy Valley come in as long as they're associated with us? Like, if my friend wants to do it, or if I know another business person wants to do it with me, as long as we are there at the same time.
Are you sharing a booth, or is that
Like they
other
would-
person,
Like they would also,
contributing to the expenses of the
they would
booth?
also be contributing to the expenses.
Okay.
So say,
Well,
if I know someone else that's something in Reading, and I'd be like, hey, do you wanna come do a farmer's market? And they pay the fee, and then they do that as well.
okay.
You got someone in mind?
Not necessarily, but I know there's people who would like to do a farmer's market, but they don't wanna commit to the ones in, Reading and
Right.
sign for it and stuff.
So let's think about that, because we originally started this last year for it to be people who lived in this community. So you had to grow it, make it, or produce it, or whatever, like the jams, in the community, because it was supposed to be. Do we want to change that and open it up a little bit? Do you want 40 vendors out there?
I don't think it would necessarily be changing it, because I think you'd still have your base vendors. You just might have that off weekend where, like yourself, you might live in Reading and you have a mass amount of tomatoes that you're like, I have an overabundance. Hey, Nellie, can I come sit at your booth and sell tomatoes too?
No, you have to have a booth next to her.
Well, you know what I mean. But is it okay? Because at that point it would be an invitation of
So
a
how do
community.
you feel about it?
I kind of agree with that, yeah.
Dennis, how do you feel?
We.
Robert, yes or no on it?
Well, I'm for it, but.
Okay, fine. Logan, how do you feel about it?
I'm a bit
But
bah humbug.
I'm kind of thinking though that with this being a second year, we might develop more interest from other people in the Happy Valley area. They might say, hey, maybe this is something that we wanna participate
And
in.
by having more vendors,
And having
you
more-
may have more people go, hey, they have a lot more vendors this year.
And then we may draw more traffic that way.
Exactly, it's a valid point. So, if we're in agreement, I think we can go that direction.
I wanna hear the bah humbug.
Go ahead, Ron.
We did set out, we are the Clear Creek Community Services District. We're facilitating this
Happy
farmer's
Valley.
market, this Happy Valley Farmers Market. Happy Valley starts where China Gulch hits Canyon.
Right.
Ends out of Linda going that way, it ends at Gas Point heading that way. We were trying to promote products and people within the community. I think we did a really good job of that. No other farmer's market where you go is there gonna be a geographical limitation, so we are pretty unique in doing that. That isn't necessarily a good thing,
So,
But-
go ahead. finish
but
your thought.
I support keeping this
There's
limited to Happy
valid
Valley
points to
locals.
There's a way to have both, as odd as that may sound. You would have our group, and now this sounds a little weird, but you wouldn't, but then you have a little area of friends of Happy Valley, where there'd be 2 or 3 vendors from outside the area.
Friends and
We'll
family.
sign Friends of Happy Valley, and if there are 2 or 3 vendors, they'd be there. Otherwise, we don't put them sign, they're not there if there's
And
one.
they can only be there if they're vouched for by those that are local.
Yeah, they have to be associated with.
And that way we could have our cake and eat it too. It
If
is
you,
exactly as you said, it's just for the local community to boost it up. We're hoping to get an olive oil pressing plant one day in the not too distant future. But it's not good business to turn business down if we don't spoil our motif or our commitment. And friends of, we wanna be a good neighbor, so friends of.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'd rather.
So we might be able to have
encourage
our
us.
cake and eat it too, and with the exception of the righteous bah humbug, I think we're gonna get.
I think you're probably
well,
right.
to that, we had initially invited the Agro people.
We
to
have,
join us,
yes.
And they are outside the area. They did not because whoever was running it didn't share it with the people selling.
I ended up doing the IGO.
So did I, it was the best one I've done.
Really?
Yeah, it was busy.
Has it
It was
drawn?
really
It's,
good.
it's the Wednesday evening one, right?
It was,
It was for the firefighters, it was a fundraiser for the
Yes,
firefighters.
yes.
There you go, that's
Firefighters
why.
breakfast.
yeah.
But if you're out there, let them know about ours. You know,
I will say, I mean, I have been to the Island, weekday, farmer's market. I bought Sandy's corn
Corn,
over
yes.
there, so they kind of have this arrangement where they'll allow you to come from outside, but it's very limited to, you gotta be a friend there, and that's it, they're not, and you're not coming from Corning.
Yeah, sorry.
It's like, your neighbors will like to hear that.
I think the rule of having grown it, produced it, made it should follow too. You don't want someone buying something cheap, bringing in flats of strawberries and selling them at a profit because they, found a source.
Yeah, here, some time ago, I stopped at the Anderson Farmers Market at, the outlets there. And, a lot of the vendors were from way down south, the best from, Red Bluff or south, the Orland, would bring the vegetables up.
Right.
And I thought, well, that's not even, that just kind of seemed wrong.
That's the same with like the Reading Farmers Market though too, is there's only a couple vendors that are actually really out of Reading, and then you've got Julia's, which is out of Dairyville, whatever, and then you've got Redgate, which is out of like Red Bluff, out 36, and then you had some that were coming out of Sutter. Sutter, like,
Oh my God.
come
Well,
on.
that's, my point in being the righteous bah humbug is that there are producers that make their living traveling the farmer's market circuit.
Right, yeah.
And I want you guys to make as much money as you possibly can. So I'm not trying to advocate to,
I was
Limit
gonna
the
say
size
more
of your
to, like,
business.
local people, like if you're in
Right,
Reading,
right.
if you're in Anderson.
Yeah, but we don't need to take
I
somebody
agree
from
with
Shasta
that.
or
Right, yeah.
Reading or.
So,
because this isn't a special,
Right.
this is a niche market, not
Right,
a
right. Let me
specialist
expound
market.
on what you're saying a little bit then.
Oh, now I lost my train of thought.
Oh, competition. What if someone from someone else's firm brings in bread,
Already
just
have that.
like you,
Already have that. Priscilla.
and sells it for $1 or $2 a loaf cheaper? Do we get 4 bread sellers and, 3 coffee guys? I don't know.
But we know Nellie's bread. That's the thing. We know her bread.
But she needs to have samples more.
He just gave an example of humor that he finds offensive, so we know what not to make a joke about it. I was kidding.
But you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, like-
If it's local, we
yeah.
want to be careful and protect the
Like,
local
last
company.
year we had, I think at Scylla's Bakery or something like that.
There was one,
She
yes.
was there too.
Yes,
And
she
I know
was.
her, we're
And
friends
some of the
with
things
her.
she sold were different.
Yeah, so she had like
Cookies
cinnamon
and-
rolls, she had cookies, so where my stuff was a little bit more on the traditional side.
Right,
Hers
yeah,
was a little bit more dessert,
It wasn't
Right.
quite as,
Yeah,
as
there's still like a
competition.
difference.
Yeah, she wasn't really competition, she's like a compliment to it, like Burger King across from, Long John Silver's.
So that's why you should be set up next to the jam guy on one side and the honey guy on the other side, you in the middle.
And if Priscilla comes back, we set her up with the coffee shop.
Well, there you go.
So then you get your coffee and your,
I would say maybe not have more than like 2 of the same around the area, so a little bit.
Since you guys are helping run this thing, you should have the same, right? See?
So back to the coffee shop, sorry.
Yes.
There was a comment made about setting Priscilla up next to the coffee shop. I know that Brunique and what is her name again?
Her name's Maria.
Okay, so I know that Maria does sell certain baked goods in the morning and things like
I
that.
have provided her with my own personal stuff, so I've done that, just because she's out there, and she's made very little things, but she's mainly coffee, she doesn't have like breakfast sandwiches, she doesn't have the normal, like, you know, Starbucks type
Okay,
things.
so
Yeah,
that
you've
would
got to
probably
protect
be.
Bonnie's Burgers because they do a break.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
not even really Bonnie's Burgers at that point, but it would be like Nellie or Priscilla who are selling baked goods in the morning that
Right.
might fit that niche and say that, doesn't sound like
How
we're just doing
people
that, but
sell
she
their
goes
French
to,
bread with coffee, I'm not sure.
well, Brunique goes to Costco and buys a 12-pack of muffins.
Does she?
No, I'm
Not
not, this is all
anymore.
hypothetical.
They're all right
Because
now.
that's a no.
Yeah.
So, anyway, say that happens, we obviously don't want her selling those Costco muffins, but she's more than welcome to make and sell coffee, or
Agreed.
make and sell muffins if she wanted to.
Would she be happy selling just nothing but coffee?
Oh, yeah,
Okay, well, that's cool.
that's her main thing, is doing coffee, specialty drinks, the infused Red Bulls.
And she'll do iced coffee in the summertime.
Well, now that's something that Bonnie's does, don't they? Infuse energy drinks.
I'm not sure.
I
We'd
think I've
have
seen
to check the
signs.
menu, but I feel like you're
Okay.
right about that.
Yeah,
But-
I think they do.
We could
8 to
work that.
11, I'm not sure it's a big deal.
Probably not.
Maybe not.
No. Okay, have we got this fairly well covered? Yes, we have your contact stuff. Yes,
So, I think this flyer is gonna work just as is, really, if you
you've
want.
all got a copy, so I think so too.
We just changed the time to 8:30 to 11.
Well, I think the decision was to keep it just 8 to 11.
Yeah.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
8 to
Just to
11.
make it round numbers, Robert.
Okay,
Yeah. Now, this will go out with the bills,
So wait,
probably next month.
yeah.
Go ahead.
So, no, I mean, what I'll do, this is in a fantastic color, I just printed the multiple copies in black and white to save my boss's money.
Yeah.
So, but, make sure that you've got a PDF of this. I need your email, I'll get you a PDF of it so you can post it.
It's on our signing list.
And,
Oh, that's right.
we'll also get copies, I posted them at churches, I posted them at
Right.
the grocery stores, we can spread it around some.
I actually stuck one of these up in the coffee shop at Cottonwood last year, so I mean.
And it'll be in Bonnie's Burgers,
Yeah.
they had 2 of them on last year,
Right.
so.
Okay, yes, and we will, put this as an insert for our, well, it'll be addition to the newsletter.
Right.
it's a good point that you said that you posted at the coffee shop in Cottonwood. Why not post it at like the community center in Cottonwood and like the
Yeah.
community library
Yeah,
down there
different
too?
places.
They're neighboring cities. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just 5 feet.
I just did it because I went in there for some coffee.
in our other advertisement, we're gonna do 8 AM to 11 plus. This one is 8 AM to 11, but
8 to
anyway.
11, we'll leave it at that.
radio or
An
something?
ambiguous 11.
I think we'll just make it ambiguous 11, no
Yes.
pluses on it.
Okay,
No,
okay.
Even though I think it's to be understood, and over time, my guess is May and June, you might, we'll see. But-
June, July, and August, nobody showed up after 10:30, it was getting too hot out. But
Yeah,
by the
as
time
you
we
get
got into
into
September and
September,
October,
Mm.
people were coming later, and we were there till noon.
Yeah, and
Probably
that's fine.
4 times. So that's why I think we stick with what it is, and then, like I told you guys then, hey, if you wanna continue selling and there's customers showing up, you're welcome to.
Yeah. It'll also be the volunteer that is selling things past 11 will have no problem staying longer.
Yeah, that'll have to be a given.
So we will need then, so that I get a Saturday off once in a while, someone who will pick up and return the table, the sign-up sheets, the whole works. And there comes, maybe we work that out.
Yeah,
Maybe
we'll
the
figure
other
it out.
volunteer over there in the middle here can help out once in a while. Okay, see, there's a lot. He
Okay.
just volunteered. Yes, sir.
Would you like to have those 12 Saturdays on a list and then have people sign up now for those?
I don't have it yet, this is last year's that I had saved in a document file, and I just have to plug in the different dates, and then this is what we'll sign up on. So we should probably have another meeting to finalize everything, mid-next month. Get everybody signed up, get everything all squared away.
So, we're talking with your chair about having a meeting in early April, maybe April 9th.
That was the tentative date.
Right. And I think we should still have that meeting. And one plan was to have a little bit of a workshop on gardening, pruning, planting. Were we gonna try to get somebody from,
Yeah, I am still working on that, but we
Okay.
will have a speaker on, the 9th, or if we push a week to be in mid-April.
well, the next
What's
week
the
is the board
16th?
meeting.
Oh, that's
That's
a
board
different
meeting
night.
night.
No, it's not our board meeting that month. That's right when it's supposed to be.
I think we might wanna really stick to the 9th, that way you're 1 month out from this. So we
Yes,
can
that's
have on
true.
the agenda, kind of finishing up our sign up and everything else. And then we could have our presentation on planting and gardening, and we'll all walk across to Robert's large garden and get some practice in.
We'll need at least half an hour to wrap up everything. We'll do that first.
Okay.
And if you can reach out to others,
Yes.
let's see if we can get more people here next time, and, maybe we'll get more volunteers. All right.
So what time tentatively on the 9th of April?
6
6?
p.m.,
Yeah.
not tentative.
Okay.
The date's probably more tentative than the time.
Well, I'm gonna turn my time back to you then.
Okay, well, I think that about wraps up the conversation on the farmer's market for this go around. We're going to meet back up on April 9th to wrap up the final details, heading into our first market in May. Thank you all for here to discuss that with us. With that, we're gonna go ahead and move on to 4B, which is an update on the Olive Growers Initiative. And I'm gonna pass that over to Dennis.
Okay. One thing, you could, get somebody from UC Extension to talk about gardening, but you could also get a local, master's gardener.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the olives. I went to, the olive, workshop, in Orland, and, UC Extension was there. Some of the companies that buy, the oil and olives were there, and a very good, workshop and, an educational thing. And I bought, it was not cheap, very expensive, but I bought a manual for the orchards and growing, and it goes step by step. And it also covers processing the oil from the olives. It's really a good thing, cost $75. So what I'm gonna do, and I should have talked to Paul before. Paul, I don't know if it would be possible that this could be at the office, but I would want somebody to sign in, and phone number, date, that they've gotta bring it.
Like the library.
Yeah.
You've gotta bring it back.
Yeah.
It's not something they just stop in, pick it up and go. They gotta sign in, check it out.
We'll make it happen. What we'll do is we'll have a sign in and out of sheet at the front desk, and people will have to leave, you know, their phone number and an email and a thing, and they'll get badgered, and I don't know, I'd be half tempted to make them put in a $25 deposit or something, but, you know, that would be too much admin for us, but we would definitely.
Yeah.
And then if they don't respond, if they don't return it in 2 weeks, we'll just start badgering them, and if they don't return it after 2 weeks, we'll stick you on.
No, we'll put it on their next bill.
I think it covers, it covers planting, pruning,
Yeah.
it covers every single thing
That's
that
fantastic.
you need to do, selling your olives, the different types of olives, it explains all of that. But the one thing that was kind of a little bit shocking or startling was one of the main buyers for the olives was Musco company. And so I talked to the buyer, and I said, what about the Happy Valley, country? And he said, yeah, a long time ago, way back, we used to buy those olives. But he said, you guys are all Sevillanos. He goes, we don't buy those anymore. I go, whoa, that was a startling. And his reasoning was, or what his excuse or whatever, was that Sevillanos, the meat sticks to the pit.
Yes, it does.
It's not real simple to take out the pit and not destroy, the olive. And he said, so he said generally they would sell those as the olives with the pits still in them.
Mhm.
And he said the market for that has just been gone for a long, long time, decades. And so, and then the oil, they just got a real small amount of the oil. So it's not good for the oil, and for a real good market for the olives is not that good. Oh, they're still a good olive, and I think some people locally process their own and sell small amounts out. But there is one buyer still buys them in Orville. So it's kind of a long way to get Orville, but they still buy them. And I've got the company name, I think.
It's in your letter.
Stilavo or something like that, in And then, the other thing would be, I talked to somebody from, the CAF, the nonprofit CAF, and it's community, I can't remember what it is.
Community Alliance of Family Farmers.
Alliance, thank you, Alliance Family Farmers. And, I think we've got enough folks that have joined that we can be a community. There's different types of, membership. And I think we've got enough, we can be a community,
Under
membership.
cap, okay.
And so you get more from them. I think the bad thing is, I think, due to Doge, I think some of their funding has been,
Look at the
it's not,
size of my desk. Doge came along and said, you need a smaller desk.
yeah, his desk got.
But they let you keep your chair. Wow.
But,
bench.
it wasn't, it didn't target, the nonprofit themselves, it targeted,
Yeah.
I think, the food for schools or something, or there was some funding for that, the CAP was involved because their farmers sell to the schools or something, it was something like that. So I think they've been kind of hurt a little bit, I don't know if it's gonna be bad or just a little bit. But I think, that's all I've got right now.
Is there any, well, first of all, I appreciate everything that you're doing on behalf of the community for the olive growers. Are you interested in having, olive association-ish meeting here at all anytime in the next month or two?
Yeah, I think, sometime, this following month.
Okay.
And I don't know what day, we generally do it on the 11th, but maybe push it back towards the end of the month.
Okay. And then I would volunteer one of your colleagues to be the first checker-outers of that book. I think Robert's got some olives that he might, maybe.
I have 32 trees, thank you.
Yeah.
But now there are missions, and we have a lot of missions here, and there were people that cut off the branches and put in queens and Maloney's. So we have a lot of variety other than the celadoniums. But what does the biomarker do with those celadoniums, if that's correct pronunciation? Does he use them for oil or?
Some folks still process them for the oil. You get a small amount, but see, is that profitable? That's the thing. It may be on a small scale, and you're doing it yourself, and you can do it, but bigger scale, I don't know if it's profitable. Cost of water, cost of pruning, labor, picking, so I don't know if it's profitable.
Do we know how much of the celadoniums have been supplemented by transplanting onto them or grafting onto them, the queens and Maloney's, et cetera?
I think it's the opposite. I think they started out with, the missions in that, and then what somebody told me, at some point in time, the market for, Sevillanos really skyrocketed, and so, a lot of the locals were encouraged to
Switch over, graft
to,
over.
to graft over to, Sevillanos.
The person that you know well, the man of ancestry is Hispanic, who has a lot of acres. He sells them two places, in Fairfield and in Oregon. What model of olive does he sell?
Yeah.
What's model?
I don't, they haven't got just one, they generally had two or three, or
Okay.
one or, I'm sure they just don't have one. And, like, Gurney, he he sells some, for, the table variety, and he sells some for oil. And then generally, the oil, he just pays a processor to process the oil, and then he sells the oil himself.
Right.
There was a couple people there that did that.
And they'll sell it to, some, you know, someone else, probably a bigger company, and they'll take that and refine it, filter it, and make the good stuff.
There is a market for oil out here. Some of the vendors, they make their own soaps, and they're paying a pretty fair penny for that oil. You know, I talked to a few of them, willing to buy 5 gallons of oil at a time. And then if you get a decent quality, what's Steve's last time, I'm drawing a blank, runs the community center, he's on the chair of the board.
West
Yes. Okay, he does a farm to school program, and he would be willing to buy 50 gallons of oil. Okay, but you know, if you've got product, he typically wants to buy a pallet load at a time, so that's gonna cut most of us out, but there is a market for the oil and things like that, if people had a way of producing it at a reasonable cost.
Yeah. And then, Paul, I think we talked, once about maybe putting out something in, the newsletter. And I think it was just going out, for me, it was just going out to, the olive growers. It's up to you, but the olive growers, and it was, I think to encourage, watering, you know, certain type of crop, because it's a full water year, and so people can take advantage of that somewhat. So, and then we pay the district for sending that out.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that probably should go kind of to your list that you've done before.
Yeah.
And then, we can process that.
Yeah.
Well, what would you like to do about a meeting in April? And I guess, you know, even though it's only this early, I gotta think about what I'm gonna put in my newsletter, and the newsletter is gonna hit people on April 1st. So maybe having a meeting in there in the newsletter would help too.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Chair, you can continue on.
Okay.
While we figure out the date.
Dennis, thank you very much for the update on the Olive Growers Committee. I appreciate all the work you're doing with that. I'm gonna circle back to item 4A. Director McVeigh informed me he had a thought that he wanted to share.
Yeah. Oh, our next meeting on the 9th, since we've only been acting the district as facilitators, I think it should be an informal meeting, a community meeting for the farmers market. So that we create a little distance between the district and the volunteers running the farmers market. This is designed to protect the customers within the district.
Yeah, I suppose so, but I do think the primary purpose of the April 9th meeting was gonna be more along the lines of a master gardener and talk about garden, because
I was hoping we were finalizing the organization, getting the volunteers.
So that would probably need to be a second meeting where we need to abandon the,
Okay.
which I don't necessarily want to do.
I know.
But I know that we don't really have time to slip in a second
Could
meeting that month.
we start off with the farmers market? Informal, close it out and then start up with.
Yeah, that's fine.
That'd be a great way to
Maybe
do
the
it.
first half hour, the informal with this, and then,
So we would.
then they can stick
still meet
around
at
if they want
6,
to. Still meet at 6.
and then at 6:30, 6:40, whenever
Right.
we do wrap up, we open that meeting. That works for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
These bakers have to get up very early in the morning.
Very early. I couldn't bake it the same as the farmer's market. I would have to get no sleep for that.
I know it.
Everything is baked and packaged the Friday.
So with the first half hour being the ag community, being the farmer's market meeting, you will go ahead and lead that,
Oh, of course.
and we're good.
And we'll try to keep it streamlined, if we didn't get it all wrapped up, so you guys can stick around if you choose to, or have.
Wonderful. Okay, any further discussion on item 4A since we've been back at that? Okay, so really 4A, 4C, what we were just wrapping up, same topic, so we'll move on to 4C. 4C is follow-up ideas on initiatives for the April 9th workshop, which we've discussed. We're going to get a master gardener or someone from the UC Extension just to discuss vegetable growing in Happy Valley. It might be a little bit late depending on planting. I think I'm used to
Not really.
planting, it's pretty close.
Yeah, it's
We,
close.
really, mid-April is your, starting your plan.
Right, so we're right in the ballpark.
Right.
So, we'll get somebody in here to lead a discussion on that. Prior to that though, we will have our informal, at 6 o'clock, have our informal farmer's market meeting. We'll finalize the details, and then we'll open up into the action.
I think it would be wise to include something on irrigation, through drip or whatnot, as part of, growing the crops. Because with the summer heat, if you don't mulch on the plants and whatnot, you get a lot of evaporation, so possibly, especially in a district where you have
Yeah.
bayou water, so.
Absolutely. Yes, Paul?
Yeah, knowing that we want to get out of here soon, would we consider having the Happy Valley Farmers Market coordinating meeting at 5:30 and having the Ag Committee meeting at 6?
I won't make
That's
it
up
in
to-
time.
That,
I'm good with
that
that.
would
might
be
be
I
hard
won't
for you.
make it.
Yeah. Everybody okay?
Yeah,
I'm
Okay,
good with
that works for me.
yeah.
You don't have to be here.
I will, but,
Not till 6.
Yeah.
yeah. No,
Well,
I
that
think-
way, I'm just trying to think, everybody kind of has, in the community has in their mind 6 PM meetings for the district and committee meetings at 6 PM. And that way, there's no confusion. Let's get our business done at 5:30 to get everything all wrapped up for the May start. And then we can go right into a regular ag committee.
I'm good with that.
That would work good, yeah. Yeah, I'm good.
First good idea, and
Well, that's why the manager,
I've got possible jury.
That means we have to be on point and get it done in half an hour.
you're gonna do
You're
that.
gonna have to have your pen ready to sign on.
Provided it's just the two of them.
Oh, no. They're gonna reach out because they don't want to be the only volunteers.
No, they're not. Okay, so we have the details for April ironed out, that's great. Paul has mentioned to me in the last couple of weeks that he would really like to see a livestock meeting. I think it's kind of a disservice to the community that we haven't done a livestock meeting yet.
Right.
I would like to see us do a meeting in July that isn't maybe necessarily the livestock meeting. That's kind of a good midway point for the farmer's market, that we can all come together,
Check
see
in.
what's working,
Updates.
check in, get updates, and then maybe in September, we do a livestock meeting.
A lot of calving is in the fall anyway.
Fall, winter period. What are your thoughts on that, Dennis?
Yeah, one of our members is a livestock, an expert, and I would kind of turn it over to her at
Yeah.
what topic.
Absolutely.
And get her to talk about it, or she can be in charge of it.
So this is why it's good that we had this little conversation, because I will send Dr. Harrell a note here in the next few days saying, I know you've been busy, and she has with school and college, and sometimes, I think she's even had classes some of the nights that we had meetings, but
Oh, I'm sure
she
has.
knows that she's got a livestock meeting in her future, then I think she'll be really fired up, and she had said in the past that she'd bring some of her students and the whole nine yards, so.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
we'll look at September for that.
Yep, I like it.
Okay, any other thoughts, comments, needs, concerns from the community, from the board, the committee, I should say?
I'm just wondering, Josh, have you got, what's your interest?
Just curious what's going on.
Okay, have you got something to contribute or anything, or whatever?
Not really. No garden this year.
Okay.
If you make something, that's good too.
Are you an olive person?
No.
In this booklet, according to Dennis's letter, they talk about the present status and the future of olives, and it's not migrant pickers, it's going to be machines. And you see some of that along I-5, it's going to be here too. You have to have your trees cropped to 10 to 13 feet, I think. 13's kind of been a standard for some time, mine are a little bit tall. So the machines can work them, otherwise you have to use a hand person to do it, but the machines are replacing the hand pickers because they're so much cheaper. And they apparently don't bruise the fruit any more than hand picking does. I don't know how they do it.
Yeah.
It's like plucking chickens with those machines.
Yeah, somebody local told me, you know, machines, they bruise them all up and everything.
Yes, they do.
But at the workshop, one of the buyers said that, he said in the old times, the pickers, they had buckets and they picked them in their buckets.
Yep, I have them.
But he said now, lots of them, that they just put the tarps down, they beat this stems, the limbs, they all drop down, and he said, it's the same, no difference.
My concern with mechanical harvesting is you have particular ways of pruning to open up the middle so you don't get an olive knot,
Right.
infestation growing. And so far, Happy Valley's pretty clean on that. But if you don't prune properly, so when you do your mechanical, it's all rows, they're close packed together, you don't get a lot of air inside.
Yeah, some of ours aren't pruned, so you can use.
They're not pruned in harmony with what they want.
But I think in time, things are all going that way.
Oh, eventually, yeah.
Okay. With that, we're gonna go ahead and adjourn at 7:08. Thank you all for being here.